You are competing against Wall Street algorithms that can process millions of data points per millisecond. If you try to play their game of who has the most information, you will lose every single time. The machines do not need sleep. The machines do not feel a deep sense of existential dread when they look at their bank accounts. The machines are simply winning. To survive the modern market, you must play the one game algorithms cannot play, the game of selective focus. Retail traders are burning out and blowing up their accounts faster than at any point in human history. It is not your fault. You were placed in an arena with a plastic spoon, surrounded by heavily armored tanks, and told to fight for your financial freedom. You logically assumed the answer was to find a sharper spoon. You bought more screens. You paid for premium chat rooms run by teenagers who rent sports cars by the hour. You bought the lie. The lie is that you need more information to be profitable. You actually need much less. Selective focus is the ability to intentionally ignore 99% of the noise to execute flawlessly on the 1% that actually fits your rules. It shifts your daily goal from finding trades to protecting your sanity. The trading industry has conditioned you to believe that a professional trader looks like a rogue hacker from a 90s movie. You think you need 6 massive monitors glowing in the dark, flashing red and green numbers, 4 different audio feeds screaming about global inflation, and 12 overlapping indicators that make your chart look like a spilled bowl of colorful spaghetti. You think this makes you look smart. It just makes you tired. The modern trader adds endless tools to feel a false sense of control in a completely uncontrollable environment. You keep adding variables because when a trade fails, it is easier to blame the lack of an obscure moving average than to admit your psychology broke down. You spend hours reading financial reports, tracking global supply chains, and listening to a guy on the internet yell about the Federal Reserve until your eyes bleed. The market does not care. All this information creates a massive, crushing weight of decision fatigue that paralyzes your fingers the exact moment you need to click buy. Subtraction is the highest form of optimization. Struggling traders add indicators when they lose money. Master traders remove variables when they lose money. The ultimate flex in modern trading is how completely empty and boring your screen looks. You must understand the reality of your mental capital. Every trader heavily focuses on protecting their financial capital with stop losses and rigid risk management rules. That is the easy part. But advanced traders know they must also protect a third, infinitely more fragile resource that almost everyone ignores: your mental battery. Every single time you scroll a social media timeline, every time you randomly flip through a chart you do not trade, and every time you read a panic-inducing headline about a distant economy, you burn a small piece of your brain power. By the time your actual, perfect trading setup finally appears on the screen, your brain is functioning like an old phone stuck at 2% battery in the freezing cold. You hesitate. You make a mistake. Your brain simply cannot process the infinite stream of garbage and still have enough energy left to pull the trigger without fear. You are treating your attention like cheap water when it is actually expensive ink. Stop wasting it on noise. This brings us to the ultimate cure for overtrading. The most exciting, adrenaline-pumping trades are usually the ones that destroy your life. If your heart beats fast, your palms sweat, and you feel incredibly alive while looking at a chart, you are not trading. You are at a casino. The financial markets were not designed to entertain you. They were designed to transfer wealth from the distracted to the focused. High stimulation directly leads to overtrading because your brain becomes addicted to the action. You start taking random, terrible trades just to feel something. You stare at the screen, hoping the flashing lights will cure your boredom, clicking buttons with the frantic energy of a rat in a science experiment. The trap closes quietly. Boredom is your most profitable indicator. Selective focus naturally eradicates overtrading because it forces you to wait. When you are hyper-focused on a highly specific set of criteria, trading transforms into a highly routine, almost painfully boring administrative task. You are essentially a highly paid file clerk waiting for a specific piece of paper. This is exactly when profitability spikes. To achieve this, you must aggressively decouple your brain from the fear of missing out. You know the feeling. You sit at your desk, watch a random stock rocket 200% without you, and you feel a crushing, physical sense of failure. You beat yourself up. You think you failed because your scanner was not good enough, or because you were grabbing a coffee, or because you are simply cursed by the universe. The pain comes from a divided focus. You are judging your personal success based on what other assets and other traders are doing, rather than your own system. You must reframe this entirely. If an asset rockets to the moon but it did not fit your predefined parameters, missing it is a psychological victory. You did not miss a trade. You successfully avoided a distraction. Congratulate yourself for doing nothing. Say it out loud to the empty room. That stock is not my setup, therefore it has absolutely nothing to do with me. Let the gambling addicts have their lucky wins. You are building a business, not buying a lottery ticket. The modern market is a permanent, violent battleground between the machine gunner and the sniper. You are competing against algorithms that have infinite capital, zero emotions, and the ability to scan 10,000 stocks at once. Traders falsely assume they need to shoot at everything that moves to make a living. They act like machine gunners, swinging wildly at every headline, every crypto coin, and every market rumor. Algorithms will always beat you at the machine gun approach. A human trying to rapid-fire trade will inevitably succumb to emotional recoil. You will get angry, you will double your risk to chase a loss, and you will destroy months of hard work in a single Tuesday afternoon. A very confident mistake. The human advantage relies strictly on the sniper approach. You must use selective focus to wait patiently in the brush for hours, ignoring dozens of false targets, ignoring the noise of the battle, to take one single, perfect shot. But it is psychologically agonizing to simply try harder to ignore the noise. Human willpower is a joke. Willpower alone is never enough to maintain selective focus when billions of dollars are being spent to design apps that hijack your dopamine. You cannot trust yourself. You must build the cage. You have to build environmental and systematic blinders so you do not even see the distractions in the first place. First, trade only a specific, rigid 2-hour time window. Turn the machine off when the time is up. Second, reduce your charts to a maximum of 2 indicators. If you cannot see the trend with 2 lines, a third line will not save you. Third, trade a fixed basket of 3 to 5 tickers instead of scanning the whole market every morning. By hard-coding these limits into your daily routine, selective focus becomes automatic. You are essentially tying yourself to the mast of the ship so you cannot jump into the water when the sirens sing. You remove the burden of choice, freeing up your mental bandwidth for pure execution. When you do this, something magical happens. The compounding effect of mastery begins to take root in your brain. Imagine watching just 3 specific stocks every single day for an entire year, ignoring all other publicly traded companies. At first, you feel blind. You feel like you are missing out on the endless party happening everywhere else. But by month 3, a quiet shift happens. You start noticing subtle breathing rhythms in how those specific stocks move. You recognize how they pull back around certain hours, how they react to volume spikes, how they predictably trap early buyers before reversing. You begin to feel the personality of the asset. By focusing selectively on a tiny basket of assets, your brain develops deep subconscious pattern recognition. This compounding intuition is the ultimate human edge. A distracted trader who looks at 100 different charts a day will never sit still long enough to achieve this level of mastery. They will remain a tourist forever. Choose your focus. Ignore the screaming crowd. Let mastery compound in the quiet spaces. You will probably still have days where the market humbles you and takes your money, but at least you will sleep soundly, knowing you followed your own rules.